Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, is set to come out in June. Only a few months separate us from returning to the lands between. But a little bit of a debate has formulated, well, more like sprout up, in regards to this DLC by FromSoftware, and that is about the price of the DLC. It's $40. And many people will look at that and look at the base price of the game, which was $60, I believe, and say, well, what the hell, why is the DLC so expensive? And if this was most other studios, or like many other ones, I'd have similar trepidations and concerns and worries, especially about, or at least in regards to, in the context of the rapid, parasitic monetization of the modern gaming industry. However, this is FromSoftware, because I feel that modern gaming in a lot of ways can jade our expectations or preconceptions about certain pieces of media, or about certain policies or practices that some companies will participate in, even if the context surrounding that individual situation may, well, kind of go against established notion. You see, a lot of the time, it's really easy to try and go for a broad stroke approach across all this, and just say, this is bad no matter the context or the individual nuance of it, any given situation. And this DLC being really expensive, many people can look at that and say, yeah, why is it that expensive for just DLC? And why is the price of the now Shadow of the Erdtree edition of Elden Ring set to come out with the DLC, why is that only $80? Like, what's going on here? Why is it that if you already bought the game, you have to essentially forego an extra $20? And we'll get to that point in a later bit, but I want to talk about FromSoftware here, because there's very few studios and developers out there that I hold in the highest regard, in the highest echelon of the gaming industry. I hold them in extremely high regard because time and time again, FromSoftware give me reason to, well, put them there and to rank them that highly. They consistently put out high-quality experiences that are feature-complete, fun, engaging, and offer a full and endearing beginning, middle, and end. They don't go for gross monetization, live service, or participate in parasitic and exsanguination of consumer wallets. They are a business, and obviously they want to maximize profit, but at the end of the day, what they put out, generally speaking, is worth what they're asking for. And like, just look at the last few years. You had 2022 Elden Ring, a massive game of the year that was loaded with content, whole different ways to play, and a beautiful world to engross yourself in, to fall in love with, all for $60. No microtransactions, no live service bullcrap, no loot boxes, no battle pass, nothing like that, and it came out with a bunch of free DLC updates afterwards, like new quest lines, the Colosseum. Yeah, we can forget about that after time has passed, but remember when it was first coming out, and Elden Ring came out and they continued to roll out new stuff? Not many do that. And then the year afterwards, in 2023, what did FromSoftware do? Put out Armored Core 6, another amazing game that was feature complete, bringing back an old IP from a couple generations ago with a lot of love and care. And it was amazing. It was one of my favorite games of 2023, and probably would have been my game of the year if Baldur's Gate 3 didn't come out. And now in 2024, they are set to come out with DLC to Elden Ring. And Miyazaki in interviews has alluded to how much content there is in the game, with a location roughly the size of Limgrave, but Miyazaki on occasion has had a habit, if you will, of underselling what's actually going to be there. So who knows? And I believe he said, or it was said, that there's going to be at least 10 bosses in the DLC. Who remembers the Bloodborne DLC? The Old Hunters, $20, had 5 bosses. And the Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, I always want to call it Shadows of the Erdtree for some reason. That just rolls off my tongue better. Like, not only is Shadow of the Erdtree bringing to the table more bosses than we've ever seen in a DLC for a Dark Souls or FromSoft game, to my knowledge, I can't think of one with more than 10, let alone anything close to 10. And Shadow of the Erdtree is bringing to the table 8 new entire weapon types. Like, every time I look at Shadow of the Erdtree, it just seems like it's bigger and bigger than what I could have expected. And like, that's the thing. I understand pessimism in the gaming industry, especially in the modern year. I understand that, and I hold that a take and opinion for most of it. But FromSoft have not given me a reason to not give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a reason they're held in such high regard. They know their strengths, they placate to those strengths, They try and shore up their weaknesses, but they never lose their identity. Whereas a lot of other studios fail and fumble on the idea of trying to please everyone, FromSoft hones in on what they do well and let the audience come to them. And we have seen that time and time again ever since the days of old, whether it's the original Armored Cores or they go to Demon Souls, the Dark Souls, which had a breakout success, and then continuing over and over and over again, more and more people come to FromSoft. And then Elden Ring was a massive explosion, which introduced a lot of people to this way of gaming, and re-sparked a lot of people's interests in video games as a whole. That's nothing to scoff at. That's an achievement if there ever was one in the video games industry. FromSoft have earned the benefit of the doubt for me. So until they show me or prove me wrong, if they say the DLC is going to be $40 worth of content, I'm going to believe that. I am a fan of FromSoft. Elden Ring is not going to be for everybody, but it never set out to be for everybody. And that's the beautiful thing about it. If you like it and you vibe with it, it'll probably become one of your favorite games. If not, there may be a playstyle in there for you, or you may bounce off of it, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to like every given video game, and a lot of games flounder and falter because they try and appease everybody. FromSoft don't. They know their audience. They know what makes their games unique and special, and they don't falter from that, and they're unapologetic about it. And we can get into the weeds of a discussion about nomenclature, and if FromSoft, if Shadow of the Erdtree is going to actually be this massive in terms of scale and content added to the game, should they have called it an expansion or DLC? And I think a lot of the time we're just arguing nomenclature, whereas the root, philosophical cause of this discussion, I think can be wrapped up rather succinctly. It is FromSoftware who actually believes that Shadow of the Erdtree won't be worth $40. Sure, the worth of $40 changes based on your perspective and what you want out of it. But even from the figures they're putting out, and assuming we're lowballing all of these figures, that's a lot of content. Assuming Miyazaki isn't exaggerating or underselling anything. We assume he says more than 10, but let's assume it's either 10 or 11 and not more than that. Let's assume it's only 8 new archetypes of weapons. I think they did say only 8. And let's assume, even on the low end, that it's slightly smaller than Limgrave. One, I don't think you can judge the amount of content a place has solely based on the size of the location. It's how feature dense it is. And we have seen a lot of dungeons and a lot of different aesthetics and biomes just in that trailer. Also, Limgrave is pretty big, right? I know when we're looking at the end of Elden Ring and we've played the entire game and we're looking back on it, Limgrave can be kind of viewed to be small and tame in that comparison. But remember when you first played Elden Ring and you were exploring Limgrave? That place can easily take you 30 hours by itself, if not more. There's a lot to do there. And that's the thing. Maybe at some point in the future, FromSoft proves us wrong, but I don't think that, they're not on that track yet, at least. And they haven't given me reason to believe they're going to nudge themselves in that direction. FromSoft and Larian are two of the developers I hold in the highest of regards in the gaming industry, because they buck a lot of those notions and trends that a lot of modern gaming tends to go down. Cutting out content to be sold back to you later on or piecemeal, through microtransactions and stuff like that. Or whatever other BS modern gaming tactic a lot of these other companies want to throw at you. These games feel like they're designed to be interesting, engaging, immersive, and fulfilling. And Shadow of the Erdtree looks like it's all of those things and more. I prefer to be optimistic when I'm given, reason to be, and FromSoft have given me plenty of reason to be optimistic. I think there's a legitimate gripe to be had with the Shadow of the Erdtree edition, to where you can get Elden Ring and the DLC for only $80. Sure, I think that's a fair gripe, because assuming Elden Ring is still $60 worth of a game, let's be fair here, then in that edition, Shadow of the Erdtree is only being evaluated at $20. That's a fair gripe. And I can also look at that and admit that's a business tactic. Of course, you bundle it in with the entire game, so the value proposition for new people coming into the game is higher. So the pull to buy the game is even greater. So instead of a $100 barrier to entry for the entire experience, it's only $80. That's a business tactic. I can admit that. I can also say that's a gripe for a lot of people who've already played Elden Ring and love and enjoy it, that essentially you have to pay an extra $20 because you're a fan. I also think things exist on a scale. FromSoft aren't the only ones to do this. Does that make it better? No. But, if this is like the biggest sin that FromSoft have done. Like, if this is the greediest thing they've ever done or concocted, like some witch's brew and swirling and twirling it around, double bubble, toil and trouble, fires burn and cauldron bubbles. Like, if this is the worst thing, then I can admit that it's not that good. I wouldn't call it a good thing, but I'm also breathing a sigh of relief that this is like as bad as it gets. I am looking forward to Shadow the Erdtree a lot. It looks really good. And FromSoft, based on their reputation, when they said that the DLC was $40 or I found that out, my immediate thought was, holy crap, how big is this DLC going to be? We shall wait and see. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm gonna go try and continue to get over this little sickness that I have. Yeah, we're getting better, but I'm still sounding a little bit off because of that. So thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on the subject matter. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and to hear your perspectives. Stay safe. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.